Welcome to episode 34 of Basics and Beyond the podcast. If you have been eating less, training more, and you still feel stuck, this episode is for you. We will break down what really happens after the fat loss phase and why more restriction isn't the answer. You'll learn how food, stress, and recovery work together and how to rise and redefine what discipline truly means so you can build lasting strength, energy, and confidence from the inside out. Come on in and join us. Welcome back to Basics and Beyond the podcast. I am so excited to be talking with you today, episode 34, about food, stress, and strength, and my own experience in the last, a few weeks at least, with getting ready for a bodybuilding competition. My first one ever. We haven't talked a lot about this. I didn't talk a lot about this on purpose, and because I was doing this for myself. And I wanted to see what I could find out about myself, not just where my body could go and how I could look for the first time in my life, but I wanted to see what it did for me mentally and emotionally and psychologically. Like, what would this process of really grinding hard and doing a really, really hard thing, what would that do for me in all aspects? So today we're going to talk a little bit about one part of that. And it starts with something I just alluded to. My entire life, I have wanted to have a certain look. How my body looked, I wanted to look muscular. I didn't want to look like a giant, right? I didn't want to be one of those giant bodybuilder people, but I wanted to have a look, and this is how I would say it, where people, when I saw people, they would be like, you train, right? They could tell that I work hard. And that was important to me. Something that I always kind of strived for. The problem was most of my life, I went about doing that the wrong way. I underate. I became an anorexic around about the age of 16. And I became a bulimic. I used exercise as my bulimia. And I did that for a very long time. So I underate, I overexercise, and I thought, this is how I'm going to get my body to look the way I want it to, and I'm going to feel great. One thing I learned through this process is not eating. It doesn't make you feel great. I think back then, my body was much more resilient and I was a little crazier. So I felt like I felt great, which was not true. There's no possible way. But throughout doing all those things, I ran a ton of marathons. I ran a ton of half marathons. I did do strength training, but I didn't eat enough food to actually make a difference. And then I overtrained doing all the cardio. So my body never looked the way I wanted it to. And I always thought, well, if I just do more of the same, I can get there, because it's really a me problem. I'm just not executing perfectly. And that means I have to just do more of the same. Guess what? Doing more of the same, if it's not working, generally isn't going to get you where you want to go, because it isn't working in the beginning. It's not going to work if you put 300% into it, which is impossible. So one thing that I learned, and this is what we're going to talk about today through this process, is you can't build strength by starving your body. And that is the truth that most people don't want to hear. But of course, obviously, based on what I just said, that's where we have to start. So we're going to talk about what really happens after your diet ends, after the fat loss phase, when the scale has slowed down and the goal is met. So my goal was met, right? I was in a fat loss phase for a while. We did it nice and slow. We did it the way we were supposed to. I think I was in prep maybe 16, maybe 12, 16 weeks. I don't remember. It was a thing. But yes, it was a fat loss phase. And I trained really hard while I was doing that. And we really focused on a lot of different things to make sure that my body responded the way it wants to, or we wanted it to. However, it's over now. It's been over for a week. And this next phase is interesting, because this is something we don't normally talk about. We have so much information. We spend all our time talking about the diet, the fat loss phase. This is what happens. Da, 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 da. We never talk about when you meet your goal and how that's going to feel and how that's going to work for you. So what happens when the goal is met, but your body and your brain still feel like they're in survival mode? And that's exactly where I'm at. And honestly, I see it all the time. I obviously am going through it, but I've gone through it before, but this is different for me because I'm much more self-aware at this point. This is what happens, right? You finish that fat loss phase, you finish that cut, you hit the number on the scale and you think, all right, I'm here. But now what? Now what? Now, how do you feel? This is the interesting thing, because we all know when we're in that diet phase, that fat loss phase, we're hungry. We're hungry. We're doing everything we can to kind of stay on track, right? I chewed a ton of gum. I drank a lot of Diet Coke because that's my favorite. Don't jump on me for that. Leave me alone. I don't do anything else, by the way. Diet Coke. I did all those things trying to distract myself, trying to make myself feel like I was getting food. And when the show was over, now what? My hunger was still through the roof, and it still is. My energy, still not there. My workouts, I didn't work out for like, I don't know, 4 days. I mean, I didn't work out for longer than that, but I mean, after the show, I didn't go back to the gym, but getting back into the gym, I couldn't hit my workouts like normal. And all that, like, I was on point, all the discipline, all the things that happened before the show that I had to do because I had to hit it. I had to hit it every day, check all the boxes. And then the show happens, and I'm so proud of what I did. And then, now what? Now what? Now what do I do? And that's what a diet phase or a fat loss phase feels like for all of us. We never think about what are we going to do once we hit that number. And hopefully it's not a number for you, right? Hopefully it's a look, a physique, like, right? Because that's much more important, because you can be 10 pounds heavier than you think you should be and look amazing. And that's how you want to look, right? So what happens when all of our hard work, we hit that goal and we're so proud of the discipline and everything it took to get there? Now what? Because once we hit that goal, now we're like, oh, shoot. And we look back and go, that was a lot of hard work. And I'm tired and I'm burnt out. And I don't know what to do. And guess what? At the same time, you don't have a goal and you don't really know where to go. And back to, you're still super hungry. You're still super hungry. Just because you hit your goal doesn't mean your hunger goes away, because your body's stress hormones are still super high. Because when we're in a fat loss phase, our body is massively stressed out. Like, it doesn't like that. It wants us to eat, right? It has that, we call, I don't think it's a true thing, but we call it that set point, right? Your body gets like, I just think that's your comfortable point where your body gets comfortable. It gets used to it. Your body's stress hormones are still high once you hit your goal. Your leptin, which is the hormone that tells you you're full, your leptin is low because you haven't felt full for a long time. You haven't. Your ghrelin, the one that I always call it, like, you're growling, your tummy, your hunger. Ghrelin is that hormone that's like, hey, give me food. That thing is screaming because you're still hungry. And at the same time, your metabolism is slowed down to protect you, right? Because your metabolism is the thing that runs your body, right? So your metabolism is, if we think about it, it's kind of like a gas pedal and a brake, right? So your metabolism slows down or speeds up based on what your body needs in terms of energy and how much energy you're bringing into your body. So if your organs, by the way, those are things that need energy, that need fuel, that need food. If your organs are struggling because you're not bringing in enough food because you've been in a fat loss cycle for so long, your metabolism is naturally going to slow down because it doesn't have the energy to push out, right? It's just trying to manage things for you. So metabolism is slowed down. Leptin, telling you you're full, is really low. Ghrelin, telling you you're hungry, is really high. And your body's stressed out. And you don't have a goal, and you hit your goal. And what do? Oh my gosh, I don't know. That's what you say. I don't know what to do. Now what do I do? Now what do I do? And what normally happens is we gain that weight back because we are super hungry and we need help, right? We need help. So when I came out of my competition prep, I was like, okay, I seriously that day, the Saturday of the competition, I couldn't wait to go eat, and it took forever because the competition took forever. But I was like, that super hard part is over. That last week just crushed me. And I'm like, okay, the hard part is over. And guess what? I was wrong. And when you're in a diet phase, when you're in a fat loss phase, and you think the hard part is over when you reach your goal, you're wrong too. Because what we don't talk about is the hard part is once you've reached your goal, now what? Now what? Okay, so we know now what? It's a reverse diet. Oh, come on. Yeah, we do a reverse diet. You slowly add food back after months of cutting. Like, whoa, this is great. I get more food. Easy. Not easy. Because of those hormones we talked about, leptin and ghrelin. Your that satiety hormone, leptin, is still going to be low and your ghrelin is still going to be high. So even though we're adding more food back, even if it's slowly and you're getting more food and you're like, this is great, you're still hungry all the time. I was still hungry all the time. You're still going to be tired. You won't have a lot of energy. I didn't have a lot of energy. And your brain is still mentally wired for restricting your food. So what do we do when we're that hungry and we don't have a ton of food, but we're slowly getting more back? We might do caffeine. We might stretch our meals out. We might chew some gum. We definitely talk about pushing through. However, your body is still trying to get more food. You're still going to be super hungry. And over this last week of experiencing this, it really opened my eyes to the fact that even though most people will never do bodybuilding competition and experience things to that degree, every one of us, every one of you that has ever been in a quote diet or a fat loss phase, you are experiencing the same thing. The problem is no one talks about what do you do and how does it feel? No one talks about the hunger that's still there. Here's what we talk about. Oh, yeah, you lost that weight and then you gained it back. Oh, yeah, it's too bad you didn't have the discipline or the motivation, and we beat ourselves up. I didn't have the discipline. I didn't have the motivation. Look what I did. I lost all this weight. And then what happened? I gained it all back. It's all my fault. Everything is terrible. And it's all my fault. And that's the key. It's not all your fault. Your body's just responding normally. What we need to think about is, what does discipline look like for us? It's not about white knuckling your way through that hunger and that exhaustion. It's about figuring out that you do need to start feeding yourself, and you can't jump back into all the things like doing all the housework, doing all the kid stuff, doing all the training, right? We have to rest a bit more and understand that while we are in this reverse from this diet, we still need to take care of ourselves just as much. Yes, we're getting some more food, but we're still going to be tired. And it's going to take time for those hunger signaling hormones to kind of get back to their normal. And it's going to take a while for our hunger to be tamped down and for us to feel better and have more energy. It's not an automatic, once you reach a goal, everything goes back to normal. That is not what happens. So what do we do when we're coming out of a diet phase or a fat loss phase? We increase food slowly. Okay. We make sure that we keep our cardio lower. We really prioritize getting sleep and actually taking rest days, like true rest days, where you don't do what people call active recovery. That's not a thing. Okay. Take true rest days. Listen to your body. And when we do that, our body responds. And my body responded. I have a lot more energy right now. I am back to the gym. I'm not pushing hard, but I'm pushing enough just to get my muscles moving. And here's the thing.
I am making progress. How do I know I'm making progress? Well, the scale is slowly going up. It'll go up and come back down and go up and come back down, but slowly over time, over the last week, things have been improving. I have more energy. I am not as crabby. Like my mood is better. People forget that when you're not eating enough, your mood is not. You're just probably not a great person to be around. Um, like I said, I have more energy to do things around the house. People are noticing that I am smiling more and I feel better. Just the energy around me is better. So, what we need to do instead of thinking, okay, I hit my goal, but now I still have to stay in this spot in order to keep, like, stay where I'm at, right? So, people think, oh, I hit my goal and now I'm just going to stay at this caloric intake and my amount of training and conditioning in cardio so I can stay at this spot. That's not what happened. That's not what happens. You will plateau, you will gain the weight back, all those things will happen. What we need to do is slowly add food back. We need to continue to prioritize sleep and rest and listening to what our body is telling us. And what does that do? That takes stress off of your body. Eating a little bit more slowly over time, not jumping back into the gym, not staying in that fat loss phase for too long, takes stress off your body. Your body can feel safe again. And you can continue to make progress toward your goals. And that's what I want you to hear, right? It is a kind of a multi-phasic thing. In order to look the way that I want to look, in order to build that muscle, I had to go through a building phase where I ate more food than I probably needed. And in fact, it was more food than I needed to stay at the weight I was at, but it wasn't about the weight. I needed to be able to add muscle in the gym, and you have to fuel your body to do that. Then we went into this diet phase where we cut back on food. Training stayed high for a while, adding cardio in. And when I hit my goal, now we have to reverse back out of it. We have to reverse back out of it because we have to acknowledge that our body needs that fuel. So you're not broken. Your body is not fighting you, right? Your body is protecting you. It's saying, okay, you've been in this fat loss cycle long enough. Now we need to give it more food. We need to make sure we're giving it rest, and it's going to respond for you. So even though you've probably never done a bodybuilding competition, which is fine, you've done fat loss cycles and you might be in one right now. So I want you to think about really paying attention to your body, even if you're not in a fat loss cycle. What's your body telling you? Let's stop this whole idea of celebrating, pushing through the fatigue and surviving on coffee and skipping meals and ignoring rest. And then we wonder why our hormones are off, our moods are crazy, our energy is all over the place, we can barely function through the day. It's because we're celebrating the wrong things. That's not strength. We shouldn't be celebrating that. That's stress on your body. Real strength is knowing when to pull back, listening to your body, feeding your body, resting, breathing, calming down, and making sure we can recover from the things that we're asking our body to do in terms of training and cardio and the food, so that you can actually grow those muscles that you want. Because every person I've ever talked to, when they say, oh, I'm in a diet or I'm trying to lose weight, it's not about the weight. It's about how they want their body to look. And in order to have your body look the way you want, you have to be able to build muscle. And when you build that muscle and then you go through that fat loss phase, you get to see the results. And then we need to cycle back out by eating more food and paying attention to rest and sleep and slowly adding training back in. And honestly, I don't know if you've seen my new slogan, but rise and redefine. And that's what rise and redefine really means. We rise out of that cycle of punishing ourselves and we redefine what it means for us to have discipline, to make progress, and to know what healthy looks like for us. So, where do you start? Feed your body. Feed your body Don't skip meals. Maybe we need to make modifications to your meals so that your body responds better, but we're not going to skip meals and we're not going to stop eating. We need to make sure those meals give us energy. They support our workouts. They stabilize our hormones. We want to prioritize our sleep, just like we prioritize our training plan. We want to get our walks in so we can be outside and we can calm down and we can get into our parasympathetic nervous system. And by doing all of these things, we are building trust and a relationship with our bodies and ourselves again, so that our body understands we're doing what we know is right to make it healthy. And ultimately, when our body is healthy, we can make the progress we want in terms of how it looks, because it's going to help us that way. So if you're tired of feeling stuck and you're like, wow, you gave me a lot of information right now that I don't really understand, or I need more information, Laura, let me know, reach out. You can obviously reach out via my website. You can reach out via here, send me a message, or Instagram or Facebook, wherever you can find me, reach out and ask me questions. This has been a really interesting experience. And everything that I went through, I constantly thought about, how does this apply to everyone that I talk to, everyone who listens, everyone who's out there that I can help? Because going through 25 years of under eating and over exercising only got me unhealthy, and it didn't get me the body I want. We have to change how we think about how we treat ourselves and the relationship we have with food, with ourselves, and with movement. And that is what I'm here to help you do. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.